Hello. It's so great to be here during our 29 Days of Heart campaign. I'm Selena Gorey, the CEO of WomenHeart. WomenHeart is a national patient centered organization that provides support, education, and advocacy for women living with or at risk of heart disease. As most of you know, February is both Heart Month and Black History Month. And at Women Heart, that means that our annual 29 Days of Heart campaign, which seeks to uplift the voices of Black women with heart disease, to shine a spotlight on the health inequities that exist for Black women, and to provide empowering and motivating information about how to take control of your heart health. Throughout this campaign, I'll be coming to you live with interviews on Women Heart social media channels, and I'll be talking to our partner organizations to learn about their work to support Black women's heart health. And I'll also be interviewing Women Heart Champions. These are women who have experienced heart disease and then have become trained volunteers with Women Heart to provide peer support, run support groups, and offer community education about heart disease in women. I'm so delighted to have one such champion with us here today. Rolanda Perkins is joining us from Smyrna, Tennessee. Now, I know people want to hear your heart story, but first, can you, Rolanda, just tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Thank you, Selena. I am Rolanda Perkins, and I do live in Smyrna, Tennessee. Let's see. I am a daughter, a sister, an aunt. I have no children. I do have a little fur baby named August Wilson, and I'm a woman that lives with heart disease. That's who I am. A little bit about who I
Yeah, it's a good intro. Yeah, all us fur mommies, we have to stick together.
am.
So tell us now about your heart story, Rolanda.
So a little bit about my heart story. When I was 39 years old, I had just turned 39 years old, and I was planning a party for my sister's 40th birthday, and I kept experiencing a headache, a really bad headache. It would come, it would go, it would come, it would go, and that lasted for an entire week. And I thought that I was just tired because I worked third shift and I was planning the party. So at the time, I knew nothing about symptoms for heart disease. I knew nothing about my heart health. It was because it was so intense. And it wasn't until a week after the headache that I actually started feeling a pain in my chest. And that was, let's see, the party that I had for my sister was Saturday night. And then I had a cookout for family members. That was Sunday. Sunday night, as I was mopping my floor, I felt the pain in my chest. And I did grab my chest, like you hear people do.
Yeah.
But I just brushed it off. So all week long, my body had been talking to me, and I chose not to listen to my body. So I went to bed that night. It was about 10:30, and I woke up at 4:30 because the same pain that I had in my chest, that's what woke me up out of my sleep. And I knew something was wrong. So I went to the emergency room, and it was there that they told me that I was having a heart attack.
Wow. This is incredible. It's such a cautionary tale, Rolanda. It really emphasizes why education and being aware of the signs and symptoms of a heart attack are so important. And as we know, this is really important for women because I think our range of symptoms are much wider, let's say. While we know that in many cases, women do experience crushing pain in their chest and are rushed to the hospital with heart attack symptoms. In many other cases, women experience subtle symptoms, just like you described, subtle
Mhm.
but persistent. So, can you talk about the symptoms of a heart attack that are more common in women, perhaps, than in men?
Sure. So, what I experienced, the headache, is probably something that a woman would experience over something that a man would experience. Of course, that universal pain in your chest anyone basically can experience that. But for women, we have like discomfort and tightness, pressure, fullness, squeezing feeling in our chest. Um, we can get pains in our shoulders, in our necks, in our upper backs, in our jaw, in our arms. We could get dizziness. We could become nauseated. We could become clammy and sweaty. We can have heart flutters
Hmm.
and just unexplained fatigue and weakness. We could have shortness of breath, and we can have stomach pain. So those are things that differ in a woman than you would see in a man.
And so many of those symptoms you can feel for non-heart reasons. So it's
Hmm.
reasonable that somebody might have these symptoms and brush them off, or say I'm just tired, or say, I've had a long day. So paying attention to, I think what's really important here is paying attention to what's not normal to you,
Hmm.
what you've not felt before, I think is really key. So thanks for running down that list. You can also find these symptoms and more information on Women Heart's homepage at womenheart.org. But I want to come back to your story, Rolanda. Can you talk a little bit about um, the impact that everything had on your mental health and what you experienced in sort of the days and weeks after your heart attack while you were recovering physically? I mean, we talk a lot about the link between mental health and heart health. And
Hmm.
I know in various conversations you said previously that you experienced some depression. So can you talk a little bit about this merging between your physical health and your mental health, and what steps you took to kind of move beyond it?
Sure. So when I was discharged from the hospital, I didn't get a lot of information. And one of the things that should have happened with me is that I should have gone to a place called cardiac rehab, and I would have learned what was going to happen after my heart attack. But I was not referred to cardiac rehab. Um, and one of the things in cardiac rehab that they do address is your mental health. That would have been helpful for me, but I didn't get that. So, what I know now is that depression after a heart event
Mm-hmm.
is not uncommon, especially
Mm-hmm.
when your diagnosis was totally unexpected, just like mine was.
Yeah.
So my mental health took a big toll. So on the outside, I appeared to be fine to other people, but on the inside, I was really struggling. And I didn't always feel like my thoughts were coming together. So that frustrated me a lot. My confidence was really low at the time. I was insecure with everything, work, just anything. I would totally like beat myself up for different things that, for just different reasons. And
Yeah.
that internal self talk, for me, it was toxic.
Mm.
I didn't share a lot of this with people because I wanted people to still see me as a strong, confident person. So it's like I put on a facade when I was going out in public because I didn't want people to see that internal struggle that I was having. I also didn't want my family to know, so I didn't share that information with them. So uh, outside of the presence of other people, as I'm driving home, when I'm at home, I'm sobbing. I'm just
Yeah.
crying, and I didn't know why. I just felt like I was falling apart, but I also felt like when you go out into the public, you need to put on a good face. So that's what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just like eating me up inside. So I don't know if someone suggested to me or if it got so bad that I sought out help on my own. I can't remember, but the thing of it is that I sought out the help that I needed, and so I went and got the services of a mental health counselor. And for me, I've been over a decade now um, involved with a mental health counselor. So
Great.
that was the thing that helped me the most. But that was also the thing that they didn't tell me about in the hospital. They told me about how to eat right and to exercise, but no one mentioned anything about my mental health being affected the way that it was.
Wow. And how did that sort of transition or lead you to maybe finding yourself at Women Heart?
So I remember being at work and I kept hearing the word Toastmasters. I never knew what Toastmasters was.
Uh-huh.
And I looked it up. And I started going to Toastmasters and, doing speeches because I became afraid to speak in front of people. And that's just not me. So I went to Toastmasters. It helped me to get my confidence back. There was a girl at Toastmasters who asked me if I volunteered with the American Heart Association, and I told her no. I started volunteering with them. It was through the American Heart Association that I met someone who told me about the Women Heart Symposium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I went to the symposium, and that's how I got involved with Women Heart.
My goodness. And what class are you from, Rolanda?
I'm from the class of 2011.
Amazing, amazing. So you're on a dozen years with WomenHeart. Congratulations. I mean, we are so, so glad to have you part of the family. You know, um, throughout your engagement, you've met other women with heart disease and other champions, and you've been able to help train new champions. In fact, you and I were together last October, training a whole new crew of class of 22 champions. So I know you do a lot of education through your church as well. So what has it meant to you to be a part of Women Heart and the community of Heart Sisters? Or, is there like a particular story that sticks out in your mind about the impact that you've had on other women?
Well, like being a part of Women Heart and the community of Heart Sisters, which is what we refer to ourselves as, it was like exactly what I needed. And it helped give me life.
Mm,
It let me know that I was not the only person that was feeling the things that I was feeling. I was not the only person who had those struggles that I had. It allowed me to become involved with a super supportive, encouraging, motivational group of like minded women um, who knew what I was going through and who went through some of those same things. And they could also educate me on how to get past those things.
mhm,
So that's the type of sisterhood that I feel like I have with Women Heart
mhm.
Sisters.
It's something struck me when you were talking about how you felt, to the outside world, you needed to put on a strong, brave face and be confident, but you were inside really struggling. And I feel like one thing I've learned, certainly from Women Heart and from your Heart Sisters, all of you, is that being strong, part of being strong is letting yourself be vulnerable. I don't think I really appreciated that as much as I do now, having, spent a lot of time with women and champions like you.
Mhm,
Just that sharing of the vulnerability allows for a much deeper understanding of each other.
mhm,
So anyway, that's something that I have experienced through the Science and Leadership Symposium. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And in some, in other ways, I mean, we can talk so much about the inconsistencies between the referral to cardiac rehab, which you did not get. We can
mhm,
talk about the probably the post-traumatic stress that happens when you're afraid to go out because you're not sure what's going to happen, next. So there's so much there that we can unpack. But what I want to do now is let others know that they have an opportunity if they might be interested in becoming a Women Heart Champion. We, in fact, are currently taking applications for women who have heart disease and want to volunteer, just like Rolanda, and give back in the ways that we've been talking about. For the last 15 minutes. We are hosting a virtual Science and Leadership Symposium in April. So that means wherever you are in the country, you can participate. And we're going to use the same faculty, the same stellar world-class faculty from the Mayo Clinic, and the same content as somebody would receive in the fall in-person training, but we are going to conduct it virtually. And you can find all of that information on how to apply on our website. So please, please check that out. If maybe it's not you, but it's your sister or your wife or your mother, or your auntie who would really benefit from that kind of training and becoming part of the sisterhood. So pass that along. Before we wrap up, I want to know if there's any advice, Rolanda, that you would give women out there as it relates to their heart health. And in particular, since this is Black History Month, is there anything particular you would want to share with Black women who are, in your community. Like when you are there providing support, you're providing community education, you're raising awareness, what are you telling Black women?
Um, I'm telling them to make sure that they listen to their bodies and take action if you need to, because our bodies speak to us every single day. We don't always listen, but we need to listen to our bodies. Learn your signs and your symptoms. In 2005, when I had a heart attack, I did not know what my signs or symptoms were.
Mm,
Um, for Black women, especially, if you need to reach out to a mental health counselor, it is okay. It
yeah,
is okay for you to do that.
yeah, yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that I want to make sure that people know, because I know that people are struggling. They might not know where to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to reach out to a mental health counselor, therapist, it is okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Amazing, amazing words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rolanda. We invite everyone who's been listening to learn more about what you can do to take action. You can visit womenheart.org/29 days of heart to learn more about our campaign. And then, spend some time on the website so that you can arm yourself with information about heart disease in women, as well as gather resources on how to access peer support, whether that's for you or a loved one. I will be back live next Thursday afternoon with Dr. Rachel Bond from the Association of Black Cardiologists. Thank you, Rolanda, and thank you all.
Welcome. Thank you.